I feel this weird pressure to whisper because it's so quiet in here. But hey guys, it's really good to meet you. I'm Kalani. This is Ramon. And thank you guys for coming. We know this is a really busy time of year, maybe finals coming up, stuff like that. So we appreciate that you're making time. We'll try and be quick, and we'll definitely have time for questions at the end, or if you want to come chat with us one-on-one, that would be cool too. And yeah, we're basically just here to tell you about an organization, a community that we're building called Co-op. And I'm going to keep awkwardly running back here, and this thing's kind of weird, but I'm going to figure it out. All right, so our mission is pretty straightforward, overcoming underemployment. And what that means concretely is we connect recent CUNY grads to meaningful careers, particularly in tech, media, and design. And what underemployment is it's when the job you're in, the career you're in, doesn't take advantage of the degree you've worked so hard to earn. So a lot of you guys here maybe are about to graduate, have graduated, have a degree that you've poured your heart and energy and time and money into, and then it's very difficult to make that transition from college to career, and that's where we come in. So, so we're a nonprofit, and so there's two major challenges we're trying to tackle. The first one, it's a little bit hard to see, is exactly this idea that transitioning from college to career is very hard, and it's often very lonely. So nationwide, more than half of recent grads are unemployed or underemployed. And like way too many things in our society, that affects different communities differently. So that's one big thing that we're tackling. And then related to that, right here in New York, is the reality that sexy, fast-growing industries like tech and media absolutely don't reflect the diversity of the city. So CUNY is more than 3/4 minority. The workforce is way more than half minority, but then if you look at tech and media, that goes way down. So we see these two challenges as completely interlinked, and our small but growing community is trying to tackle them. No big deal. What Co-op is really three big things, and I'm going to throw it over to Ramon when he least expects it. But basically, what Co-op is a community, first and foremost, a program, we call it Workshop, and last is the career launch. So I'm going to go into community here and throw it over to Ramon. So could you tell him a bit about, this is that thing, and it creepily follows you around.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so the community aspect. So there's maybe 30 of us right now. There's 3 cohorts, 4, 5, and 6. I'm part of number 5 here. That's my face. Yeah, so it's so there's 30 of us, and I'm in a small maybe group of 12, and we work together. We have clients together. We meet up 4 times a week, 6 to 10. We're in constant communication. Whenever somebody gets an interview, we're all congratulating them. We're all passing along info. This guy's hiring. This person's open to meeting. So it's really cool. It's a nice little community. Sort of. After graduating, you feel like you're alone out there. You're applying to these jobs, and you don't realize that everybody around you sort of in the same sort of friendly.
Yeah, so for us, and we'll get into what the program is, but for us, the community, and particularly the cohort, is the real core of our program. Transitioning from college to career is hard. It shouldn't also be lonely. And that's like our key philosophy. So no matter how big our organization gets, when you come into it, you'll always come in a group of 10 to 12, the cohort that Ramon described. And each cohort is paired with 3 captains. And these captains are alumni of our program, like Ramon, who've been through the intense 200 hours and are kind of there as like a big brother, big sister role. They've been through the program, they've earned a great full-time job, and they're out in the industry working, and they come back to pay it forward. And that's another big philosophy we have. So, community, biggest thing, but it's not just the cohort that you're a part of. In February, we're going to be launching 4 cohorts, and this year we've run 6. So you're not just part of your small cohort, though that's kind of like your intimate little family. You also have a big extended family, and really what we're trying to do here is build social capital, so build connections, because as you guys are maybe finding out, sometimes the degree and the skills alone aren't enough. It's all about who you know. And so we realize that's a challenge. and we're going about solving it together. So here's a picture of a big chunk of the community, and the cool thing is we actually have 20 folks, including Ramon, who've come from Brooklyn College. And we'd be really excited to meet more folks from Brooklyn and bring them into the community as well. So the main thing that you do as a cohort is you go through workshop together. So this is what Ramon was talking about. It's 200 hours spread out over 4 months, and everything happens in the evening between 6:30 and 9:30 p.m. in downtown Manhattan. We do that because we know a lot of you guys are working. All our coaches and captains are working full time. And it's also a lot easier to get classroom space at that time. So basically, the goal of workshop is both to learn and master new skills, build that community, and then also to work on sort of the soft skills. So every Monday and Wednesday, you'll be learning really concrete digital tools that a lot of employers are demanding and looking for, but that very few colleges teach because they're either so new or constantly changing, or colleges, they're just a lot bigger than we are and so have a harder time keeping up with what employers need. So specifically what we teach is Excel. You can never get away from Excel. It's going to follow you to the grave. Google Analytics, search engine optimization, Google AdWords, Facebook ads, and then a tiny bit of Photoshop and HTML. And our goal here is, in 200 hours, not, of course, to make you total masters in all of these things, but to give you a taste of the different parts of the digital marketing world, get your appetite whetted for these different skills, and more than anything, give you the sense that there's no tool out there that you can't learn, right? I think often when you look at job descriptions and look at the qualifications, they have all these things you've maybe never heard of, and you automatically think, oh, I can't possibly do this. And what we're trying to do is say, no matter what those qualifications are, together you can create a plan to tackle them. So, Ramon, do you want to talk a bit about these different skills?
I was also going to add on to that, you're probably going to do a couple group interviews, and this is just going to give you that edge over the people in the room. So the interviewer is going to ask you, so what kind of Excel have you worked with? And then you can throw in some pivot tables or whatever in there. So it's just going to put you ahead of that curve.
Yeah. You did TV and radio, right?
Oh, yes. So I did communications here, mass media communications, TV, radio, film, but they've never touched on search or digital. Photoshop, I had to figure that out on my own after graduating. HTML, I failed that class. I got to see in that class. But yeah, just having these courses and keep freshening up. So it's sort of like after graduation, you have to keep learning. You have to be a lifelong learner. You can never just stop when you graduate.
Yeah. So it's key to note if you've never tackled any of these, that's totally fine with us. We see co-op as a complement to what you learned undergrad. So we've had marketing communications people who studied business, people who studied information technology. So we have a bunch of different backgrounds coming in here. And really, when it comes to these skills, all we ask is that you're hungry to learn. And then we found that it doesn't matter what your background was. Everyone finds a part of the digital marketing world that they're really excited and passionate about. Then, as Ramon mentioned, all teams are working on a client project, so you get a chance to practice these things in a real-life setting. And then we do a lot of career and community building. So just a ton of what's your story? How do you tell your story in an interview? How do you identify your strengths and your weaknesses and talk about those in a compelling way? How beautiful is your resume and your LinkedIn profile? Just all these things that everyone tells you is important, but never make time for you to work on. So we think of these 200 hours as a sacred time and place where you come and you're entirely focused on launching your career, and you're not doing it alone. You're doing it with a cohort of 12 folks and a lot of coaches who are there to help you out. And then last but not least is this idea of the career launch. We definitely don't take a one-size-fits-all approach here. When we're not out here trying to recruit amazing young folks, we are out trying to recruit as many companies as we possibly can. And so our pitch to companies is we have an awesome group of young folks who are much further along in terms of these digital skills than most people. and they represent all the communities in New York City, right? Going back to one of those first slides, tech and media look nothing like New York as a city. And some companies, I think rightfully so, are under increasing pressure to deal with that. And we position ourselves as a partner for them in that. So here you see just a few of our alumni and some of the companies they're at. Some folks are at giant media agencies like McCann or Mediacom. Some folks are at much smaller agencies like Pricing Engine, which is a startup, which Ramon is actually starting at on Monday.
Yeah, he's not even my captain, but he got me an interview at McCann. Rodney graduated, what was it, the
first one, yeah.
And he got me a blue chair.
Yeah, so the idea here is like when you graduate, you don't necessarily know a ton of people out in the workforce who can crack open that door for you or invite you for an introductory interview. And what we're trying to do is build that network that gets bigger and bigger. And so the thing, like, sorry, Ramon, the later you join co-op, the better it is, right? Because what makes co-op, I think, a real valuable thing for new folks coming in is not just your cohort of 12, but all the cohorts that have come before you who are totally willing and excited to kind of pay it forward, right? Someone helped them get into the industry and into their career, and then since this program is 100% free, the only caveat is that we ask that you come back and you pay it forward once you finish the program. And just one example of how we do these career connects. Look, there you are, buddy. Do you want to actually tell them about this event?
All right. So this was at Google. This is me. This is most of my team here. So we met with Google and Google partners, maybe 30 different companies. It's sort of like a speed dating match. We go in, we introduce ourselves, we hand in them a copy of our resume. They tell us a bit about their company. It's not just like a one-way street. It's like you have to figure out what place is a good fit for you as well. You don't want to be somewhere where you don't fit into their community. So you learn about them, they learn about you. You have a couple drinks, have food. You get to hang out in the Google building, which is, I think, the coolest part. And yeah, it was really fun. It's really nice.
Yeah, so that's one example of how, while we're building a community of young New Yorkers, we're also trying to build a community of companies who are excited about our mission. And in a big coup, we got Google to get excited about us. So that's definitely a relationship we're going to keep fostering. But the cool thing about Google is they're so big that they have a giant network of companies that work together with them. And so basically they invited them all, and we brought in all our candidates, and a bunch of cool conversations came out of that, and a bunch of cool jobs as well. Some nice swag, yeah. And then, yeah, as I mentioned, to me the most important part about co-op, and what Ramon is doing right now as an example, is you go through these 200 hours, you become a part of the community, and then once you're done with that, with your cycle, your 4 months, and you're off working and doing cool things with your career, you come back either as an ambassador or a coach or a cohort captain or a mentor or someone who opens doors at companies. So here you just see a handful of the folks from our who are currently either coaches or cohort captains, and that's what gives me, as the founder of this thing, like a year and a half ago, it was just me and no one, it wasn't fun. It was very lonely. But now we're like growing and growing, and I have a lot of energy and excitement and enthusiasm that it's really sort of a community of peers empowering each other to make this leap into their career. And also, as an alumni, it's not like you're only giving back. I think there are things we can continue to provide to you, right? So we've had folks now from our first cycle who are about a year into their career, and they're maybe looking for a promotion or a raise or to make a jump to another company. And that's when we can come in handy again. So we've had folks make jumps from one team to another agency or another company where co-opers are working. And so I think we just want to like kind of be an army of CUNY grads taking over the workforce in New York. And then, yeah, maybe last but not least here, we're proud of our first year. So we're about a year old. We've run 6 cohorts, 70 New Yorkers. 85% of alumni are working full-time tech media design. 50% of our alumni are paying it forward. And that's just like formal roles, official like on our team roles. Almost everyone comes back to do like informal mentoring and stuff like that. We're planning 10 of these cohorts for 2016, and and then you can barely see it here, which is maybe good because it's intimidating. We're going to try and have 10,000 folks in this community in the next 10 years. And we would love for you to consider joining us. So the next cohorts launch on February 15th. Applications are due January 15th, but no need to wait. The sooner the better. And the application, it's kind of fun, maybe.
It's a beautiful website. You should check it out.
Okay, cool.
What is it, Squarespace?
Yeah, it's Squarespace. Yeah, so maybe tell them a bit about the application process.
The application is cool. It's a beautiful website. I like it. Who did that? And the logo's amazing. So yeah, it's pretty cool. There's videos, there's pictures of all the cohorts that came before. You can apply. The application is really simple. It's asking you your basic. We're not going to ask you to write everything in your resume and then submit it and then write it again. We don't ask for that. And then it's some fun little questions to just sort of poke at your personality. It's really nice.
Yeah, and then after you submit your you submit your application, we'll invite you for a group interview, probably in early January. That'll also, I hope, be kind of fun. There'll be 5, 6 of you guys together. We'll kind of see what you're all about, how you interact with others. Because to us, the number one thing we're looking for is not a specific major or a specific GPA. Not at all. It's, are you hungry to learn? Are you sort of energized and ready to start your career? And then most importantly, are you the kind of person who likes being part of a community and who's not just there to get, but also to give? Because that's what makes this whole thing tick. So yeah, it's like a 15-minute application, a group interview, and that's it. And we'll be starting on February 15th. So maybe we'll pause here and ask if you guys have any questions. But thank you for listening. We appreciate it.
What are the majors here?
You can just shout them out. Nice. Awesome.
My nice broad communication. It's I did communications, and when I finished, I was sort of scared. I didn't know what it meant, but sort of, it's just the idea of taking in information, analyzing it, and then putting it back out. That applies to everything. So just having that sharpened down. I love it.
Hey.
So I'm a journalism major.
Awesome.
Radio minor, children and youth studies minor.
Nice.
So I got a broad,
Yeah.
a lot of experience, but I'm not going to talk about that at all.
Nice. No, the first cohort was all from a single degree program at City College. They have an advertising PR program up there. And that was great, and it's an awesome group of 12 folks, but we've realized the more mixed it is in terms of backgrounds, academic backgrounds, the more kind of energetic the group becomes. So we're very much open to everyone. We do ask, though, that you are curious and interested in potentially going down this path. Because we've had some folks who went through the whole thing and then they're like, I think I want to be a teacher, which is awesome. I'm a former teacher, but that's not where our expertise are, and it's not where our connections are. So I guess what I'd stress is that this is digital marketing and kind of the digital sphere. There's so many different directions you can go to within it, but I think you do want to have kind of somewhere in you a hunger for that digital world. Go for it. Yeah, that's a great question. I would say the core focus are learning tools that are broadly part of the digital marketing world. That said, all of digital marketing is at its core analytical. So one of the biggest tools we learn is Google Analytics, which basically, whether you like it or not, is tracking absolutely everything everyone does on the web, including you. They know everything. And so a huge part of marketing is learning how do you take these vast amounts of data and crunch them to make meaningful, actionable insights. So I wouldn't think about this as Mad Men kind of marketing. If you're a very analytical, data-driven person, I think there are parts of this that are going to be really exciting to you. That was cool. I like that. I got to get that ringtone.
So you said
you have to do 200 hours, but in 4 months, is that restricted, or can it be longer than 4 months just in case you can do the whole 200?
So yeah, the 200 hours are fairly well defined. So it's about 16 weeks every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday evening. And we picked that because it works really well for most people. We know it works really badly for some people. So that's on our mind, and down the road we do want to offer cohorts that meet at totally different times. Right now, though, this is what we do, and we do ask that folks come to like at least 95% of the sessions, because when you don't show up, you're not just missing something yourself. Your team is going to miss you, your cohort misses you, and so much about this is that cohort bonding and kind of community feeling that if you're not there, everyone kind of feels it.
Yeah. And sort of, it's good that it's intense and so tight on a schedule. If it's loose, you're not going to have those bonds then.
Yeah, and so even though the core program is 4 months, it's not like at the end of, so we're about to, Ramon's group is, next week is the last week of those 200 hours, those 16 weeks. But we're not just going to be like, all right, see ya. Because our organization, we're measured by the success of our community members. So we're with you whether you like it or not until you're on your way and have a great job that you're excited about. And then even then you're not out of our view. Yeah. Yeah, another good question. So I would say 95% of folks in the program are graduates. So they have their degree, they're out of the program. In each cohort, we have a small, like 1 or 2 folks maybe who are graduating seniors. So they're like in their last semester. We just know that a lot of CUNY students are studying and working and helping with their family. So we know taking on one more thing can be quite hard. That said, some folks only have like 1 or 2 classes to finish up, and then it can work really well. Yeah, so right now, like as of this moment, basically 100% of our alumni are working for New York companies. Oh yeah, nice, okay. Well, that's a great point, because we are at the Google event that we showed you pictures of. We had companies coming in from Philadelphia and all over New Jersey. We are slowly starting to plan how could we do a similar thing in Philadelphia. So we know that there are companies outside of New York who are looking for our young folks. Like it's actually really exciting. We keep getting emails from companies outside New York being like, when are you going to come here? So if you're interested in leaving New York, and maybe not paying like $5,000 in rent for a studio apartment, we're very excited to connect you with companies outside New York. And for us as a community, that's actually really exciting, because we kind of want to send out scouts to a new city and kind of like create a little presence there, so that when we start our first community, our first cohort out there, there's already some folks who can be coaches and mentors. Long answer to a short question. It's kind of my jam.
What will most of the meetings take place?
So I expect it'll continue to be as it is now, which is all at 25 Broadway down in the financial district. So it's like very close to the Fulton Center stop. So like everything runs through there. So yeah, downtown Manhattan.
How are the groups chosen? Is it those who have like similar backgrounds, or it's just basically an even mix of different people with different?
Yeah, so we will, it kind of happens in 2 phases. First, we select you to be part of co-op, and then after that, so in February we're going to do 4 cohorts, that'll be about 50 people. We'll select all of them, and then we'll kind of do a process where we create cohorts out of those, and we try and have those be heterogeneous. So mixed backgrounds, mixed interests, and that's something as an organization we're still learning how to get better and better at. Like how do you, because we won't know you that well at the beginning. So we can make certain, like I thought Ramon was going to be this quiet introvert, and he ended up being like this giant personality, which we all love. But so like we're not perfect at that yet, but no. So we select you based on who you are as an individual, and then we group you in order to have a mix of strengths and weaknesses and stuff like that.
About how many people apply?
So it's gotten way bigger every cycle we've ran. If I had to make a wild guess, I would say that 100 folks will apply for about 50 positions. We're not trying to be crazy exclusive. So we might not take someone with a 3.8 and be super excited about someone with a 2.5. We don't think that GPA is the best predictor of how awesome you're going to be in the workforce. So yeah, we like encourage everyone who's hungry and excited about this community dimension to apply. And if we get 100 applicants and 70 of them are awesome, and we'll try and do more than 4 cohorts. So we're looking for folks who are willing to really invest in this community.
You mentioned that companies are looking for younger folks. What about slightly older folks who are retiring school, finish, and are looking to restart their careers?
Yeah, no, we love that. And whether or not companies are looking for that, we believe they should be looking for that. So yeah, no, I shouldn't have used that term. We're looking for great New Yorkers. I'm already on my 4th career, so I have a ton of respect for career switchers. It's kind of self-serving, but no, I think I think it takes a lot of courage, and that's something we want to celebrate and support. I think you have a question.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, when is the next application process? So every 4 months that you're looking for new applicants, or?
Yeah, right now the plan is to run 4 cohorts launching in February and then 6 cohorts launching in August. So kind of matching the semesters. We are thinking about also running summer cohorts, so maybe launching in like May or something like that. I'm letting you guys all see behind the curtain of the startup. Yeah, we're a nonprofit, but we're still very much a startup. And so I think the cool thing is when you join, you can have a real influence on how this thing evolves. Yeah, we have not, I think it makes a lot of sense to have a laptop. That said, that would never be the reason you don't get in. And I think again, letting you behind the curtain, I think we're probably going to invest in like 10 laptops for the organization that you can like rent for a program or borrow. So no, the bottom line is there's no financial obligation at all. And if something like that comes up, we can work together so it's not a barrier.
Yeah, we have people that don't use laptops, but we still need a phone to communicate. You need a Metro card to get around to and fro. It just makes it easier.
Yeah.
We have people that don't use that.
Yeah.
In terms of kind of jobs or in digital marketing, the salary ranges, a little more about the daily life of someone who takes one of these jobs after they leave?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll first make the caveat that it's a wide range because we have big companies and small companies and stuff like that. But yeah, our average alumni right out of co-op is making $42K. And it's an industry that has real growth potential. So one of our, I won't name names at all or even allude to names. One of the people who was in our first group is now making 75. And another one's making like 68, and another one's making 62. So there's real, I think, salary growth potential in this field. I know, as a former New York City teacher, I know it's hard to live on $45K in New York. But I think it's like pretty solid entry-level job salaries, and then there's real growth potential from there, and pretty quickly. And then in terms of what you're doing, I think a sort of standard position that folks have coming out is sort of being an account manager or an account associate. There's different names everywhere. So you'll have a handful of clients, and you're in charge of planning and executing and improving their Google ad campaigns or their Facebook ad campaigns or running the analytics on their website or something like that. So definitely a tech-heavy job. But I think what's cool about digital marketing is there's a real mix of creative and analytical. So you get to be creative when devising the campaigns, and then you have to be very analytical in terms of measuring them, and then you get to be creative in terms of improving them, and it's kind of a very iterative process. So if you have more questions but would rather ask one-on-one, not on this camera thing that follows me around everywhere I go, you're welcome to come up after. If you are interested, I think the best next step is just to apply. It takes 15 minutes, and then you're like in our system, and we won't forget about you. And yeah, and it'd be great actually if you want to just introduce yourself, because then I'll have a face to match to a name. And yeah, any other group questions?
Can we contact you after today?
Yeah, absolutely. So my email address is just, it's not on here, it's on the website, but it's kalani@cooperate.nyc. And maybe Andre could share it?
Yeah, I'll share with you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm like a B- when it comes to responding to emails. I'll just acknowledge that. Andre knows. Yeah, she is. So our program director is Francesca. You can also write to her. Yeah, and then maybe just one more thing you can do is on the website, all the folks who've come through the program are there. Like I mentioned, 20 of them came from Brooklyn College, a lot from City Tech, Baruch, Hunter, Lehman. So you might actually know some folks in the program. You can link to all of their, if you click on their picture, it links to their LinkedIn profile. You can see what our alumni are up to now. And yeah, spend some time exploring, but if you're at all interested, please do apply, and we'll look forward to meeting you guys. Cool. Thank you guys. Happy holidays. Good luck on finals if you have them. Thank you guys.